Your mother, the woman who brought you into this world and made you the person you are today, who gave you everything and asked nothing in return. Few things in this world are more powerful than a mother's love for her child, save for a grateful child's sense of duty to give back. But what if your mother had a secret? One that she trusted only you to keep. A secret that threatened to not only ruin her life, but the lives of your entire family. Would you do whatever it took to protect her? Even if it meant killing, not only once, but twice. Mahek Bukhari had one of those personalities people gravitate towards. I mean, just take a scroll through the 24-year-old Pakistani-British influencer's TikTok, maybe vlogs, and you'll see why she captivated a following of over 100K. From her endless confidence to her passion for fashion and makeup and infectious humor.
Your ex is here. Oh my god, no way. Why though? I don't know. Oh, I bet he's gonna say the heartbreak led you to die or something.
It's always take your makeup off, let's see how cute you really are. Then take your beard off then.
Mahek's viewers felt like they knew not only the creator, but her family as well. However, the family member who was the most present in Mahek's social media career was her mother, Ansreen Bukhari.
Hot mom check.
Yep, while Ansreen spent her days operating as the managing director at a security firm, her nights and weekends revolved around just one person, Mahek. The mother-daughter duo were extremely close, often filming videos together for Mahek's TikTok page, and even made an appearance on her YouTube channel.
Mom, how beautiful is the mosque?
Beautiful.
In fact, the pair's bond seemed unbreakable, and as time would tell, ultimately, deadly. See, deep down, Ansreen was bored with her life. Motherhood, family life, a 9-to-5. It seemed her chance for adventure had come and gone with her youth. Her daughter's career, however, offered her the opportunity to start again. And from influencer trips to meeting new people, Mahek was more than happy to take her mother along for the ride. Speaking of new people, it seemed Ansreen had already made a friend through her travels. Yep. While staying with her niece in London, the mother chatted with a young man named Saqib Hussain using Azar, a live video chatting app that connects you with millions of other users instantly. Their initial conversation was brief, so brief in fact that when he messaged Ansreen a few days later asking if she remembered him, she replied no. It wasn't until she showed the message to her daughter, who reminded her it was Saqib, that she recalled speaking with him. And so the two continued chatting, and eventually, an unexpected friendship formed between the 44-year-old mother and Saqib, who told Ansreen he was 27 despite being 18. As Ansreen would later describe it, he was just talking normal. He used to pop up on Instagram and say, "Hi, how are you?" I just thought he wanted to be a friend, that's all. I found it odd that he just wanted a chat. But it became much more than just wanted a chat. It turned out Saqib and Ansreen weren't only friends, they were lovers. Ansreen had been flattered by his interest in her, and for his part, Saqib's sister said he was head over heels in love with Ansreen. And this relationship wasn't just virtual. Their first in-person meeting was at a Travelodge hotel in Birmingham, where they were intimate for the first time and Saqib took pictures with his arm around her. Ansreen, however, was uncomfortable with this and asked him to delete the pictures, which he reassured her he did. Despite Ansreen later claiming she regretted their encounter, they continued seeing each other frequently, visiting shisha lounges, hotels, and restaurants in their area. They had also exchanged numbers and were talking every day, including video calls on Instagram where she'd undress. Ansreen later said he would contact her nearly a dozen times each day. On top of all that, Saqib showered her with gifts, buying her clothes and perfume. And despite Ansreen telling Saqib she didn't want presents, he ended up spending nearly £3,000 on her over the course of their relationship, which on and off lasted roughly 3 years. But in 2021, things started to get rocky. Ansreen later claimed that she tried to break up several times, but Saqib wouldn't have it. His sister, Sana, said he was heartbroken at the prospect of their relationship ending. But by Ansreen's telling, he didn't just get upset. he tried to get even. Starting around January 2022, he sent her message after message, at times begging her to get back together. These pleas, however, were interspersed with threats to send evidence of their relationship to her family. Yup, Ansreen was dating Saqib secretly. As for why? We'll find this out soon. In one instance back in 2021, Ansreen said Saqib learned she was in London and asked to see her. Ansreen tried to placate Saqib until he threatened her with one piece of evidence so damning it would ruin everything. According to Ansreen, Saqib said, "I'm going to send it to your son. I've got nothing to lose. You have." And he didn't stop there. He sent dozens of messages to Ansreen saying, "You're pissing me off more and more by ignoring me. I will do something you're gonna regret. I'm a crazy bastard." After weeks of back and forth with Saqib, Ansreen cracked and told her daughter everything. But instead of informing the police, Mahek decided to take matters into her own hands. Naturally, the influencer wasn't pleased with her mother for forming a romantic connection with the young man. However, for the most part, her rage was focused on one party, Ansreen's paramour, Saqib. See, Mahek was never a fan of Saqib, even claiming he had edited photos of her on top of a different woman's naked body. In fact, in her own words, she would later describe him as basically narcissistic and a stalker, saying, "He was a manipulative person and he was just pure nasty." But then again, it wasn't just Saqib's attitude that had become an issue. He was now in possession of something that could ruin her mother's life and was resorting to extortion to get what he felt he was owed. Saqib sent messages to Ansreen demanding the £3,000 he had spent on her over the course of their relationship. And so, with all this in mind, a plan started to emerge. On January 4th, Mahek sent her mother a message that said, "I'll get him jumped by guys, and he won't know what day it is." When Saqib reached out to Mahek directly, asking her to talk to her mother about rekindling their relationship, Mahek replied, "She ain't a dog. Don't fucking raise your voice and tell me what to do." But the most damning thing the influencer allegedly said? Well, that was a statement that eerily forecasted the tragic events to come. "I am sorry that this year you'll be gone, Saqib. Carry on speaking to her now. You'll see movement soon." In a panic, Saqib tried messaging Ansreen again. "Things are gonna get out of hand, but you don't want to listen. All I want was to speak to you for 2 minutes. Is this how you treat me after 3 years? Can you call me please before things really get out of hand and your daughter's giving my number out to mans they ringing me up? I just want to speak to you for one last time." Saqib then allegedly agreed to get rid of the life-altering evidence for £2,000. So, they arranged to meet up one last time on February 11th, 2022, around 1 a.m. at a Tesco in Leicester. But there was a flaw in this plan. Ansreen would have no idea if Saqib would actually get rid of the so-called evidence or not. So, she needed a little insurance. Perhaps if there were more people at the meeting, Saqib would be more likely to hand over the source of the evidence, his phone, right? Yup, Saqib would be meeting more than just Ansreen that night. Despite the location only being an hour away from their home in Stoke-on-Trent, Mahek and Ansreen headed out at 11 p.m. in Mahek's silver Audi TT, traveling close to 110 miles per hour. They had a secret stop along the way, meeting Mahek's friend, Rekhan Karwan, at his house. Mahek invited him to help. Rekhan would recruit his best friend Rais Jamal, who brought along 4 more friends, Natasha Akhtar, Sanaf Ghulam Mustafa, Amir Jamal, and Mohammed Patel. The 8 of them traveled in 2 separate cars to meet Saqib. In the silver Audi TT, Mahek was driving, and alongside her were Ansreen, Rekhan, and Mohammed Patel. In the blue Seat Leon, Rais was driving, and alongside him were Amir, Sanaf, and Natasha. They arrived at the Tesco parking lot at 1:07 a.m. and waited for Saqib. That night, Saqib's father asked his sister Sana to have a conversation with him, who had been sulking in his bedroom for 2 days, isolating himself from the family. Sana said she already spoke to him the day before, but he wouldn't tell her what was wrong. So, when Saqib received the request to meet up, he was elated. If he couldn't have Ansreen back, he could at least get the money he had spent on her back. Sana, however, was more apprehensive about the meeting, warning him he may get jumped to get rid of the evidence he was threatening Ansreen with. But Saqib still wanted to go through with it, so he recruited his friend Mohammed Hashim Ijazuddin to ride with him to Leicester. Mohammed Hashim didn't know about Saqib's situation and simply agreed to drive him that night. After initially going to the wrong store, they made it to the right Tesco at 1:17 a.m., but they didn't stay long. See, over their 2-hour drive, they had grown suspicious of the meeting. So suspicious, in fact, that when they arrived at the Tesco, they didn't park their car. After a short pause, the two kept driving through the dimly lit parking lot before exiting back onto the street. 2 other cars had followed them out of the parking lot. First, the blue Seat Leon driven by Reyes. Then the silver Audi TT, now driven by Rakan. The cars sped up. Rubber burned the roads. Red lights were run through. And Saqib and Mohammed, well, they were terrified. As the full-on car chase was in action along the A46 in Leicester, phone calls were happening between the 3 cars. One of those calls was between Saqib and Mahek, and although it's unclear what was said, it was a heated one. So heated that 1 minute after that call, Saqib dialed 999 at 1:28 a.m., a call that would last 5 minutes long. He told the operator he was being followed by 2 vehicles. "They're trying to block me in. They're trying to block me in," he said. "I can't get to a police station. I need help right now. There's guys following me. They've got balaclavas on." He knew this wasn't a simple case of reckless driving. These people wanted to take him out. "They're trying to ram me off the road. They're trying to kill me. I'm going to die." Despite the operator's attempts to soothe him over the phone, Saqib saw the writing on the wall, saying, "They're trying to hit the vehicle. They're hit into the side. Please, I just need help. I'm in danger." And then, "They're hitting the car. They're hitting the back of the car really fast. They're trying to ram us off the road. Please, I'm begging you." "Yeah, I'm arranging help for you now," the operator responded. But it was already too late. "Oh my God," Saqib said. This was followed by a scream, a loud bang, and then silence. Saqib and Mohammed were gone. At 1:30 a.m., police arrived at the scene only to find the car in flames and nobody present. They immediately recognized this wasn't an accidental car crash. See, Saqib and Mohammed's car hit a barrier before crashing into a tree, splitting the car in 2, causing the engine to detach. But as law enforcement descended upon the horrific scene, Mahek and Ansreen's crew didn't seem to have a care in the world. In fact, according to police, the group drove past the fire and soon afterwards were spotted strolling through Leicester around 2 a.m. Later, however, the mother and daughter retired to their home, where Mahek woke up to several missed calls from Rais Jamal. The police were hot on their tail. And hot on their tail was right. Around 8 a.m., she could hear officers in her home speaking with other family members at that very moment. Discreetly, Mahek sent a text to Ansreen, informing her of their story, which they then casually delivered to police.
I don't know.
No, you went. No, yeah, we were.
Where were you? Where was that?
So we stayed here, and then we went straight to Nottingham.
Right. Okay. In the Audi.
Yes.
Yes, according to Mahek and Ansreen, they were heading to Nottingham to promote a shisha lounge on the night of the crash. And the mother and daughter weren't the only ones feeding law enforcement a lie. In his initial interview with the police, Amir Jamal lied about not knowing where the other conspirators were and lied about where he had seen them last. He later said, "I don't know why I was lying. I was in so much shock. I was so traumatized." Other suspects didn't give up much information, but Mahek, well, it seems she just couldn't stop lying. When police asked her and her mother to hand over their phones and pins, Mahek gave a false pin, and after too many failed attempts, the phone was erased and defaulted to its factory settings. An hour after police were inside Mahek and Ansreen's home, they were arrested on suspicion of murder, along with their 6 associates. And the lying continued even after their arrest. Yep. According to Mahek, she was simply being a cautious driver on the night of February 11th, after winding up in Leicester on her way to Nottingham due to road work. She told police she was even making a conscious effort to keep a good distance between herself and the blue car in front of her, a vehicle the influencer pretended she had no clue was occupied by her accomplices.
I've always said to myself, I'm a very good driver when it comes to this. I've been driving for 5 years, 4 to 5 years, and I've said to myself, always keep a 2 to 3 second rule.
But Mahek's exercise in safe driving practices was interrupted when another car came into view. You know, the one that happened to contain Saqib and Muhammad.
The silver car, it comes zooming down.
The influencer claimed the car proceeded to cut in front of her, inserting itself between her car and the blue car, all to Mahek's apparent shock.
I braked and I said to my mom, what is this car trying to do?
However, according to Mahek, as she reduced her speed, it became clear they weren't the vehicle this car was after.
This car was not threatening me, but agitating the blue car.
The blue car responded by swerving lanes. The silver car, however, followed its every move.
The blue car was trying to let you go, but this silver car was not letting the blue car go.
And as the chase heated up, she claimed it was the silver car that began hitting the blue car.
I looked at my mom and I goes, Mom, what is going on? I don't know if they're drunk or what are they trying to do to this blue car in general? So Mum was me, like I said, leave it. You're not involved. You don't know what's going on.
Mahek told the detectives that the silver car hit the blue car one last time, and then, as mysteriously as it appeared,
as soon as I've turned around, this silver car's gone.
Police, however, didn't buy that Saqib and Muhammad were the aggressors, just like they didn't buy Mahek's innocent bystander charade. But when they played their suspect the audio of Saqib's emergency services call, instead of confessing, Mahek essentially doubled down, bursting into tears, claiming Saqib lies so much and that he'd manipulated what had happened. Mahek also claimed she was the one who had dated Saqib, and that was why his number was in her phone. She said Saqib was harassing her via social media and was demanding money from her to stop the bullying, hence the Tesco meeting. But while law enforcement might not have believed Mahek's claims, with all these lies flying around, how could they ever find out the truth? Well, that brings us to Muhammad Patel, the least involved conspirator. He told law enforcement the whole story, most of which we've shared already. However, there was one key detail Muhammad revealed during his interrogation that sealed everyone's fates. See, according to what he told detectives, Rais, the driver of the blue Seat Leon, and Rakan, the driver of the Audi TT that Mahek and her mother were in, were on the phone during the chase talking about ramming Saqib off the road. In return for his confession, Muhammad was cleared of all charges. With that, everyone else involved was brought in and arrested, and all that was left was the trial. There was just one tiny hitch. See, 6 weeks into the trial, the judge dismissed the jury after becoming aware of an irregularity. All defendants were released on bail, and a new trial was held later in 2023. And just when the case couldn't get more outrageous, Mahek admitted to lying both to police and the previous jury about a number of things, including the nature of her relationship with Saqib. She said she was embarrassed of her mother's relationship with Saqib. But it wasn't the age gap that was the problem. It was the fact that Ansreen was already married to Mahek's father. Something that wasn't a secret, as Mahek openly posted about their family on her YouTube channel.
I'm here with my mum, also with my dad. We have finally relaxed and found a beautiful, beautiful shisha place. Nice for the kebab.
Oh, that's very nice. Really, really nice.
Yup. Turns out Ansreen wasn't divorced, nor did she have an open relationship with her husband. In fact, her husband had no idea about his wife's affair. And remember that evidence Saqib had that Ansreen didn't want out? You know, that life-ruining secret that was worth ending someone's life over? Well, as it turned out, Saqib had a tape of himself and Ansreen being intimate. Footage that Saqib threatened to send to her entire family, including her husband. According to a prosecutor, Saqib had become increasingly obsessive about the relationship even after their breakup. When Ansreen wouldn't return his calls, Saqib's subsequent messages were filled with anger and frustration, leading him to use their intimate tape as blackmail. So the day of the car chase, that's what Mahek and Ansreen were after, calling up her 6 friends to help retrieve the evidence. It was a motive, all right, but not enough to save them from the consequences of their actions. In August 2023, 3 defendants, Natasha, Amir, and Sanaf, were found guilty of manslaughter but not murder, while the 2 drivers, Rakan and Rais, were found guilty of 2 counts of murder. And despite Mahek remaining lighthearted during the trial, smiling and laughing with the other defendants, waving at reporters, and even playing Monopoly and Uno while she waited for the verdict, the influencer was all tears after her conviction. Mahek and her mother were both found guilty of murder, and the following month were sentenced to life terms in prison. Ansreen will have to wait at least 26 years and 9 months to see the outside again. Mahek will be waiting 31 years and 8 months. The prosecution categorized this as a story of love, obsession, and extortion, and they are right. They were also right in categorizing this case as one of cold-blooded murder, the judge concluded. As for how someone could be so cold-blooded, the judge pointed to Mahek's lifestyle. Your tawdry fame through your career as an influencer has made you entirely self-obsessed. Adding her warped values led her to having no apparent awareness on how her actions could impact others. Then, from tears to no emotion, Mahek switched up as she was taken away to start her jail sentence.
She merely blew a kiss to her dad and gestured "call me."
And as Mahek, Ansreen, and their friends head off to jail, conversations online showed not everyone agreed with the judge's decision. Some felt Saqib wasn't so innocent himself. Think about it. He was sleeping with a married woman and blackmailing her with explicit content. What they did was wrong. All of it, that is. But I have no sympathy for him. Others stood by Mahek. The mum is to blame. Awful having an affair with an 18-year-old, but even worse to drag your daughter into it. When the daughter told her of her plan, the mother should have intervened and said no, but she didn't. Still, Mahek and Ansreen were guilty in the eyes of the law, and so they continued to be the subject of ridicule online. Viewers were green screening the duo into prison cells, reminding them of the blood on their hands and mocking them for how old they'd be by the time of their release. People even went back to Mahek's now unlisted YouTube video and pointed out her behavior towards her father. She's so disgusting towards her dad. Some kind of tension on her part with her dad in the video. Just by the look at her face expressions in 36-34, you can tell how she must have treated her dad behind closed doors. The specific moment viewers pointed to showcased Mahek's eyes shifting, lips pursing, and eventually walking away from her dad when he seemed to speak for too long after she asked him his opinion about a restaurant they just ate at. While it's possible she may have been reacting to people passing by, here's the clip in question for you to decide for yourself.
So tasty, very juicy.
I know.
And if you have a time, if you visit Istanbul, I can say you must need to come and eat everywhere. All the Istanbul food is very nice, but this place is I like it. Depend what kind of food you're looking now.
Exactly.
Some even brought up Mahek's old TikTok videos that seemed to age poorly, or the several skits about murder.
She's a woman. There's no way she could stab 3 grown men.
That's a bit sexist. A woman could easily kill a man with the right motivation.
Do you want to kill the prettiest girl he's ever been with? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Whether murder was intended or not, there's no undoing what happened and the families that have been affected.
I never imagined that we'll ever have to bury one of our children, and that I'd have to spend walking moments suddenly expecting him to come back and tell me everything's okay.
There's no real justice because my beloved baby brother will never come back.
An affair caught on camera. That was the catalyst that cost 2 men their lives. It was a price that, to Mahek and Ansreen, seemed worth it at the time. However, now that the sordid details of the entanglement have not only been revealed but made public, the mother and daughter will be forced to reckon with one question behind bars. Was any of this worth it? This is the story of Mahek and Ansreen Bukhari, the mother and daughter who would do anything for each other. And for that, they're paying the ultimate price.